All right. So I've got Mishgan here today to talk about the aging process of women in premenopausal, from hormones to the type of exercises and just different ways to take care of our bodies as we age. And so I'll just let you start off by telling us how you got into doing this specifically, because I know that you've come from the background of helping people in their health journey. But where did it change for you, and specifically to get towards, just figuring out hormones and the aging process in that bracket for women?
Okay, thank you. So I've always been into nutrition and health and just, very athletic throughout my whole life. And after every kid, I got on my plan, lost the weight within, like nothing drastic, but just, lost the weight according to plan, did the exercises. I knew what to do. Everything worked. And then I hit, the 40s, and everything started getting a little bit worse or different. I started getting migraines. I was having just getting very tired all the time. Periods were off. Slowly started gaining weight, especially in the belly area. And then, of course, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to lose this weight. But everything and anything I did not work. So
Right.
whatever I did in the past did not work. I was just, very frustrated. And then I did my research and got to, I had to investigate, see what was going on. So just did all my research and learned more about women in this time, what happens to them, how estrogen, and progesterone go down, and all the physical issues, the emotional issues that come with it.
Right.
So, yeah, so just going through this kind of made me realize that, oh my God, there's so many other women who are probably going through the same exact thing. And just, being on groups and listening to podcasts and just talking to family, friends who are in this category. It was funny. We all had like very similar symptoms.
Right.
Very
Right.
similar symptoms.
And so when you're working with clients, because you do one-on-one coaching to
Yeah,
help women understand
yeah.
and like work through all of this, when they're coming to you with all of these different symptoms, is there a process that you take them through? Do you have them do blood work? What's the assessment piece that like the biomarkers that to look for to know that it's specifically hormonal changes?
Hormone changes. So what I usually do is I do suggest them do some blood work and see like a functional doctor or somebody who, because I'm not a dietitian, I'm just a nutritionist. I obviously can't read blood work, but I know the markers for basic stuff such as insulin and your blood sugar, but like premenopausal, it's really hard to tell in blood work. But
Okay.
once you hit menopause, like you can tell with the numbers. But for
Gotcha.
premenopausal, it's just pretty much symptoms.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can you explain that? Like, how come that is? Do you know, like, how you said the basic symptoms? I know that being tired is one of the biggest
Yeah.
symptoms that a lot of us is like. I'm 39 and I'm hitting that age where I'm like, golly, I need like all the caffeine after 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So how do you advise women when they're in that how are some of the ways that we can help ourselves get through this, other than just the personalized coaching? Like, what would say be your like two big things that you can advise them to start trying to do to get more energy or feel better and just not feel like you want to take a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
I think number one, just kind of being on the lookout of what are your symptoms, like just writing like a list down, when do I get my migraines? Like I noticed I used to get them right before I got my period. That's when I used to get migraines. Beyond, like you said, when do I get tired? Is it 2 o'clock? Is it as soon as I wake up? You know, is it before I go to bed? Because everybody's is different.
Yeah.
So, so just kind of keeping track of monitoring what the symptoms are, how it is, and when it happens. I think that's a really good place to start. And then focusing on like a couple of things. Number one, sleep, like making your schedule for sleeping. I think that is so important because just in general, this time we're naturally not going to get such good sleep. So trying to make that a priority is going to be very helpful. You know, because of the hot flashes, keeping your room cooler, for example, could be a strategy. You know, just something small like that.
Okay. And so with sleep, what exactly happens to where we get off balance with our sleep?
Well, this whole time your estrogen is complete, you know, it's out of balance. So, I mean, it's going up and it's going down, it's going up. There's not like a flow to it like we did have that before. So that's why we're, you know, this is just one of the symptoms. So then going forward with that, I would, you know, stick to like nutrition. And nutrition, you know, this goes with like trying to reduce the amount of processed foods we eat. Because again, this can affect your sleep. You know, it affects everything if you're just not eating the right types of food, you know. Trying to focus on getting more fiber, because fiber kind of flushes everything out too, you know. So it's and it's anti-inflammatory, which is another reason why we're inflamed or gaining weight during this time.
Gotcha. So you think that it really affects our immune system in a sense, right?
Yeah. So yeah, those two I would start, you know, with nutrition and with sleep. And then in terms of exercise, like usually I put my clients on a personalized weight training program. Definitely women at this age need some type of weight training because there's so much muscle loss. And when you lose muscle, the metabolism, you know, goes down.
Yeah.
And then also getting movement in. I think that's such a big thing, you know, just getting up and just getting your steps in, getting the movement in. And it's good for cardiovascular health and just, you know, overall health, you know, just instead of sitting down, I don't know, read your book on the treadmill or something, I don't know, but anything that works for you to get the steps in and get the movements in. So I think that's just the base. And then I go on to really more, once I do a questionnaire with them, I get very specific into supplements and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I was going to ask, so you recommend like different supplements?
Depending,
of course, because there's always differences. Like that's the best part about health is it's so individualized. And I think people are always looking for the generalized answer when it really is specific to you and so many factors like your environment, your, you know, what your body has been used to versus what it can be capable of now. Yeah. And so typically how do you said that you customize programs and things like that. And so how do you know the symptom? I mean, are you just basing it on like symptoms getting better, or like even for yourself, when you started implementing these things, did you see an improvement in your sleep? Did you see improvement in your side effects?
Yeah, definitely. So just one example, like my migraines were horrible, you know, but just changing a few things and focusing on a few other things. Like now it's maybe I'll get a migraine once a month as compared to like 4 to 6 times a month.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was bad. So I think changing up some stuff can definitely, you know, help. And so it just like you said, it's so individualized. Once you see what the symptoms are and what you're dealing with, there are ways that you can, you know, conquer that, and it can get really deep, and you can just scratch the surface, you know. So it's just depends on how far you want to go into it.
Gotcha. And so what are typically some things like that you outline for people? Are you making specific meal, like not the prep work on the meals, but like the plans and kind of customizing them in that format along with the workouts? Or
Yeah.
what does working with you look like?
So I give them some options. So I teach them about like the food groups of macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats,
Okay.
and what each category does in our body. And what are sources for protein, what are sources for carbohydrates, what are sources for fats. And then some clients are used to the idea of counting their macros, so they understand. So I can get those clients into counting their macros and being really focused on how much protein I need to get, how much carbs I need to get, how much fat I need to get. So I have like a check-in sheet I do with them weekly, which they actually record daily their all their macronutrients, but they also record their biofeedback, like their sleep, their digestion, their mood, their, excuse my language, their pooping. So,
Right.
like that matters as well too, did they get movement in? How much exercise did they get in? How do they feel overall? So I do a check-in with them weekly, and I give them feedback on that check-in sheet every week, but I meet with them virtually or in person every other week.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So just to kind of like, we'll catch up on Zoom, or, I have some local clients who will get together and we'll discuss, how was your week? What can we change? What can we do? So like, again, it's very specific to the person.
Right. And I noticed that you said that you really base it on how the person is feeling. And I think that is so important, because we're looking so externally to like the blood works and all of the things, instead of just actually taking inventory on how we feel in our body, because our body will tell us when things are off. And I mean, that's what hormonal changes are. So, I heard you say protein and all the nutrients. So why is protein so important as we age for women specifically?
So protein is the building block of muscle, pretty much, so as we're aging, we're losing muscle. So and it's really hard, like I know for a fact with myself, it's so hard now to gain muscle. So it's very hard to gain muscle now, and we need that muscle to preserve our body, to be the support of our bones, to have a fast metabolism. So so that's why protein is so important. And I tell them, like, if nothing else, make sure you get your protein in for the day. Make sure you get your protein. It's thermogenic. If you're trying to lose weight, it's working as it's digesting. So you're like burning, it's actually doing the work, and it's as it's doing the work and being thermogenic as you're eating it. So you're getting like a bonus out of it. So
Like it's self-serving. It's like making it, it's taking its rent, like it's paying its rent.
So
that's awesome. And so like I feel like as we get older, it's harder to want to admit or even recognize that we're going through these things, because we're just usually so busy that we're like, oh well, it can't be that, there's no way. And then once we figure it out, do you see women feeling like the depression side of things whenever they are coming to you, like they're at the state of like feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old, this is terrible, right?
No, I do see that. Definitely.
And do you see the mood change once you've started working together and really like navigating it? Because I feel like when you have a personalized connection with someone and you're building the roadmap together, it's like that support alone can elevate
Thank you. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just knowing that you're not alone in this journey, I think that's such a big thing. And then
Yeah.
having that support just naturally builds your mood. You're just happier, you're like,
Right.
and that you're doing something about it,
Right.
and just not letting it happen, just not letting it take its course and doing something about it. I think that is empowering, you know.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that, that go into having that support, having that accountability.
Right.
And it just uplifts you, it's,
Yeah.
you're not alone. You're just not alone. So that you're not alone. And
Right.
and there's like other women who are going through the same thing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Exactly, because I think that, especially for people like me that are going, I hit 39 and I'm starting to notice some of those
Mhm.
symptoms. Whereas like I struggled with my weight anyways, like as a child. So it's like I've always had the mentality of, oh, I got to do X, Y, and Z and
Yeah.
change my whole mentality on that anyways. But noticing like the fatigue, or I haven't experienced the migraines yet, but definitely like the fatigue. And my cycle's regular, but it's very different,
Mhm.
right? And then of course, fluctuation in weight is a thing. So it's like, okay, how do I get this under control and how can I make sure? So all of that being said, like for someone that time wise, usually people are always so fast forward and they don't have as much
Mhm.
time and energy, or they think, they can't do this. How do you encourage women to add in strength training and paying attention to their macros when they're busy? Like, is there a specific formula that you tell them, like, or do you just kind of encourage them to just do it because they really want this?
Huh? So like again, it depends on who it is. If it's somebody who's just starting out,
Hmm.
I will create them a 20-minute strength training program. Even if you do this 2 days a week,
Right.
that's a starting point.
Right.
Okay. So it's just a matter of starting it, start with 2-pound dumbbells, 3-pound, whatever it is. And then slowly we'll build that up,
Yeah.
slowly build that up. And same thing with getting your steps in. If they're not used to getting their steps in, 5,000 might be a lot for them.
Right.
We'll start with 2,000, and then
Right.
we'll increase it each week. And then, so they have goals to live up to, and they have goals to
Hmm.
look up to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
they're like, if I did this, okay, yeah, then I can do this, then I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this.
Right.
And yeah, so they'll definitely see a change.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm like right behind them and I'm like, you can do it, you can do it. And also they see it, like with the check-in sheet, they record it, they see it, they see the numbers, being
Hmm.
visual, they see the numbers, they see, okay, I did this. And I do show them sometimes, like, because I work with them for at least a minimum of 3 months, because
Yeah.
there's no way you're going to see change until at least for 3 months.
Right. Yeah.
So like at 3 months, like we'll go back and we'll look at week 1, like you're at this, weight, or you're at this many steps, you were barely sleeping, we also keep track of water, you were barely drinking water. So, and then they fast forward, they see all the changes that they've made and the progress they've made, and just how they feel. So
Yeah.
it's it's a process, but it takes time.
Hmm.
But they definitely see, all the changes and that they've been building up to, with the weight training, with the movement, with even with protein. I don't make them start with like 100 grams of protein right away. I, have them start with a smaller number and then slowly increase that number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that that's one of the misconceptions in society as a whole, is that like if we don't see results right then, that we're doing it wrong or it's not working. And especially with health, I feel like 3 months is like a minimum for seeing those
Yeah.
big, and it like truly takes like about a year before we're
Yeah.
really like snowballing the effect of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And but it is encouraging, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you have them look so much deeper than just, the numbers and the
Yeah.
macros, and because we want to pay attention to those. We
Yeah.
want that awareness, right? Because
Yeah.
it brings that awareness of, like, this is what I'm not, doing for myself. And
Mhm.
it's coming from that space of authenticity, of like caring about how their life is going to be long term.
Exactly.
And it like helps them create that environment of enjoying the
Mhm.
process versus dreading it. Cause I think that that's one of our factors too, is like, we just we're like, oh, I have to do this
Do this.
thing.
Yeah.
And then you get to enjoy it, because then you're like, oh, well, I get to check in and I get to see the progress. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
there's always a positive spin
But
on
yeah,
it.
and then it's also creating habits, like start with one habit, and then we build up to those habits. So that's a big thing too. I mean, just drinking water is not easy, some people are not used to that, and
Yeah.
it might be easy for some, but not easy for others. So just building that habit, okay, um, I'm gonna, put my water in front of me, or I'm gonna just whatever habit you want to do that
Right.
it's a habit. You need to create those habits small, and then have it form into something larger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, so how do you feel your life has changed as a whole from working on just your health? Like, just that one aspect, has it just bled into everything and
Yeah, I
made you?
think, yeah, it's a lot of that's the feeling again. It comes
Yeah.
to the feeling. Okay. So it's I'm like I said, migraines are really low now. But just feeling more energetic, having more energy, sleeping better, um, just and not so now that I know what to eat and not so obsessed with, you know,
Right.
my eating, so like that obsession is,
Yeah.
it's not there. Yeah. So um and losing weight slowly, but not way I used to lose in my 20s, of course not, but at least it's working. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
I'm celebrating those wins, whether it's big or small, whatever it's 1 pound in like 2 weeks in measurements, measurements is the big thing.
Mhm.
Or if I know that, I drank the ounces of water I was supposed to drink that that day, that's another win for me, just getting in my movement, getting in my steps,
Yeah.
and understanding that, okay, me going out to get my movement and to get my steps in, it's not a punishment. It's my time. You know what I mean? It's my
Yeah.
time. I'm listening to my podcast. I'm doing something for myself. I think it's a mindset too, that creating that mindset shift that this is not a chore that you have to take your steps in or your exercising.
Mm.
It's a good thing, it's good things are coming out of it. So think of it as, like I said, when I'm doing my walks, I think of it as, okay, it's my time to, listen to a book or listen to my podcast. So it's, that's how I think of it.
Yeah. It like shifts everything when you're not dreading doing the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that that's a learned like habit and behavior that we
Yeah.
have to adopt, the mindset shifting, like you said. And it's incredible what our mindset can do for
Yeah.
us in our health and in,
Mhm.
well, any aspect, because it
Yeah.
just carries out. And like when we're taking care of our health and we're taking that priority, like you said, it like just, it makes you feel better. It makes your family time better, because you're not like,
Yeah.
I could fall asleep, because there are some days where I'm like, okay, I think I'm awake right
Yeah.
now. So, but that's awesome. Okay, so if anyone in the group wants to learn more about you, connect with you, what's the easiest and best way for them to do so?
So I have my Instagram page, which
Hmm.
is the nourished method. So
Hmm.
the underscore nourished underscore method.
Hmm.
I have a questionnaire there that they
Okay.
can just fill out. It's no obligation. Just give me a little feedback of what they're looking for, what they
Yeah.
want. They can always DM me on Instagram. That's a really good way. I'll get back to them right away.
Okay.
I just started a TikTok page, but still trying to work on that. That's so on my TikTok page, I'm just giving a lot of tips and advice on just for women in this, time period of their life. So,
Yeah, of
whatever
course.
I'm learning or coming across me, I just share it there. So
It's awesome. Well,
yeah.
and it's so important because I think that, we spend the first part of our life doing for others and then the last half of it doing for us. So it's really good to take care of our health in those moments. And
Yeah,
especially like having people that have done the research and have it together to be able to help you get through it is so important for our success.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like work smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
That's what it is. It's like, it's the mindset. It's not hard. It's just working smarter. You know, how can I do this by not killing myself with overthinking everything, you know?
mhm, mhm,
It doesn't have to be that way. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Overthinking, overworking out,
Yeah,
depleting,
exactly. Yeah.
all the lower vibrations of
Yeah.
that can come from, oh, I got to do it this way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then, like I said, it could like what I do, it's so personalized that you know, w- I will work with your goals. I will work with
mhm,
your family style, with your cultural style, for example, in terms of planning meals or whatever it is.
mhm,
Every culture is different. So we'll make it work for you and your family. Or if you're single, we'll make it work for you. However, you want it to work, it can work out. It can
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and it's because, you experience that yourself, right? Because
Exactly. Yeah.
you have a very, rich culture and you
Mhm.
carry that into your family. And so I'll ask you that. How do you manage with especially your background and your traditions?
Mhm.
Is it easy or is it challenging? Does your family follow along with some of the healthy trends? Like what does that look like in your family?
Actually, like, because I've been, like I said, because I've been so athletic and, into just working out, taking care of myself,
Hmm.
they see it. So they see that, it's just natural. It's not like I've been telling them, but they just naturally see that.
Hmm.
And like in terms of making dinners, just making dinners, whatever they like, I'll make a little bit of a healthier version of it.
Yeah.
If I have to substitute something for myself, I will do it. But then they're like, "Oh, we want what you're having." You know what I mean?
Feel
So
like that happens naturally.
exactly, it just naturally happens. Yeah. So not depriving them, not depriving myself, but having that balance where I'm still doing what I need to do to feel better,
Yeah.
but still making it part of the family. I think that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I'm sure that they appreciate it, whether they even realize it now, they'll carry it into the rest of their life and do the
Exactly.
same
Yeah.
things and create
Yeah.
that good, healthy boundary around foods and see it as the fuel that it is.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. And they
well, that's
like,
be a lot
yeah,
of fun.
yeah, exactly. And like they know, like because I work out at home, like when it's my workout time, they know. Like
Hmm.
they don't mess with that. You know what I mean? It's not like I've told them, but it's just because I've been habitually doing it and doing it and doing it. Like they know
Hmm.
that's mom time, that she's
Hmm.
working. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like they catch on very, easily, they'll
Nice.
catch on. And I think also if they like nobody talks about menopause and premenopause and all that stuff. So it's
Hmm.
also good to educate, um, because if they don't know, they don't know. That's not their fault. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It's good to
Exactly.
talk about it and, educate them that, sometimes mom just needs to go to bed earlier or something. Let's respect that or,
Hmm.
so just whatever
Yeah.
it is, I think it's just good to talk about it too. So
Well, and I think that's an interesting point is that we don't talk about it. I
yeah,
think we talked about all the female things, right? Minus getting the aging process,
yeah,
aspect of
it's
doing that one little part of our life. So it's like it's strange that we don't talk about it more
talk
often.
about it. Yeah. Yeah. So just like every little thing about this, like it's like, it was, I think people are more talking about it more now, but before it was just so like shameful, like,
Mhm.
you're like, why? Wait a minute. Why are you talking about it? It's
You're not
natural.
supposed to age. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to age as a woman. That's
Yeah.
why.
It's like natural process of life. So,
Mhm.
it's good for everybody to be on board and what's happening and, understand. Yeah. So
That's
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll stop recording now and then we'll put in your information when I post it into the group so that people can follow really easily. But yeah, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
sharing. And then
Thank
I'll
you for
pause the
having me.
record. Yeah, you're welcome.